New PCE report came in today. Let's talk about it on Today in Mortgages. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. We're talking about what's real, what's hype, and what you should actually be paying attention to out there in the world of mortgage and real estate news. And we got big news today. The PCE report came in today, Rich.
And Michael, I'm so happy we finally get what we expected. Here I was getting greedy thinking I was hoping for 2.6 or 2.7, but man, just to get one of these reports in as expected is a big benefit to us.
Yeah, and you can take your pick of whatever article you want to read. There's a gazillion of out there because it is the big economic news today. We picked one from CNBC. It just talks about how things came in, like Rich said, in line. And there's some other key indicators in there that we want to touch on as well. So, Rich, what are the things that stood out to you in this report? And then we'll talk about what that means for mortgages a little bit later on.
Yeah, within the report, that excludes a lot of stuff, right? It excludes energy and that kind of stuff, that core PCE. But within that, if you even take a look at the energy and food costs and all of that stuff, food costs was up. We expect that. It seems like food costs never come down. But energy costs pretty much offset it with a 1.4% reduction. And all of that is good news. And so, listen, overall, it's just a better year over year number than where we were last year. And that's what the Fed wants to see.
So we're looking at raw numbers. We came up 0.4% from month over month on the PCE, but only 2.8% year over year, which was kind of where things were expected to be. Some of the details in there that we get into, Rich, this was interesting. Personal income rose 1%, but personal spending actually decreased 0.1%, which is kind of where we want to see. The other thing that I saw in this, Rich, was that savings rates have actually ticked up, which might indicate that people are a little bit more nervous to spend that money. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, spending slowing. Just take a look at your average household. We talked in episodes past, just recent episodes, about how a lot of the spending in your average American household is being borrowed, right? We talked last week about, buy now, pay later. And then the week before that, and then before that, we talked about how a lot of this spending that's happening is a large percentage, 95% of it is borrowed funds, credit cards, home equity loans, that kind of stuff. That's what's been kind of making inflation worse because the average American has just continued to spend. Well, it's not sustainable. Even the average American household knows that. Like, you can only spend so much. And I think that's why they're saying, okay, we don't need to go to Hawaii. We don't need to, spend this and spend that. Let's save a little bit. And, that's the way the market works. People just, they figure out, they budget, and they recognize where things were going and where things are heading, and they're starting to save. That's typical stuff.
Rich, I personally feel like I need to go to Hawaii, so I'm glad you mentioned that. But I don't think it's in the budget this year, and I think that behavior change is what's finally kind of maybe catching up with people, hopefully crossing our fingers, because we do need spending to slow down so that we can see inflation regulate and the Fed respond accordingly. And so, speaking of the Fed responding accordingly, the markets responded to this morning, Rich. What happened after this report came out?
Well, initially, like, things were trending worse, right? And then the report comes out, and then we start to see boom, boom, things start to get a little better. Like, the stock market starts to level off, and, the 10-year dropped 6 ticks, and, like, things were good. And now everybody starts to digest the information, and now we're kind of seeing squirrely. We always see kind of knee-jerk reactions after this stuff. So the markets need to digest it over 24 hours. We're likely to see some of the benefits. As long as the Fed doesn't come out. No Fed chairs, nobody. As long as nobody speaks, I think the market's going to adjust just fine tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's super interesting because I think what we're seeing here is like there's a neutral reading, and people were excited about that because at least it wasn't negative. We got a lot of negative indicators over the last couple of weeks, and so at least it wasn't negative. There was kind of an initial like, I was watching it live and seeing like the stocks ticking up and the 10-year falling, and it was like, yay. But yeah, obviously it's going to be leveling out over the next 24 hours, and we'll kind of see how that works out for the next week or so. But the good news is that there was not bad news, and so that's something to be excited about for sure. So that's what we wanted to talk about today. Some not bad news, which is good news. And so we'll keep an eye on this moving forward. Obviously, we talk about it every week. And so, Rich, any final words you want to say on this before we sign off today?
Well, like every time, we do this just for informational purposes and put it out there. But for your average homeowner, your average loan officer, real estate agent, it's important not to get all bogged down in this wonky data, right? It's really just look at the headline. Where are things going? Anything that's kind of deep in the headlines, and that's why we do this show. Is like, let's tell you, yes, here's the headline. That's something that you should think about and kind of pay attention to. Below is a lot of wonky data, and then we just try to highlight the stuff that really matters, and that's the point of this show. And I'm so happy to do this with you, Michael, because it gives us a real good chance to kind of give our perspective as just an American household, you and I, on what we read in our specific industry. So good stuff.
Definitely. Thank you for that insight. And also the reminder that, the news is not the only thing we should be paying attention to. We need to be out there digging into our business and investing into our customers. And so Rich is always bringing the goods there, reminding us to stay focused. And so if you're interested in learning more about how Rich brings the goods every day here inside the network, click the grow link below. We'll get you all the information that you need to learn about the best network in mortgages. So anyways, thank you, Rich, for making us smart on this today, for keeping us grounded, for giving us some market insight. Thank you, everyone out there, for watching, listening, wherever you are. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time on Today in Mortgages. Today in Mortgages is produced by Network Funding LP, which is an equal housing lender, NMLS 2297. The content of this program is meant to be a commentary on mortgage and real estate news, and any discussion of rates and or products should not be taken as an individual mortgage or home buying advice or pricing estimates. And any commentary on this show should not be considered a promise to make a loan. All applicants for a loan must qualify, and you should consult a professional regarding your individual loan scenarios for your financial situation. Visit our website at nflp.com/licenses for all state licensing and other legal information.